Ladies and gentlemen, happy Monday morning. Hope you're doing well out there. I want to do more live streams. I want to communicate with you more. And so this is my first attempt at re-entry here. Real quick for everybody out there, just for these live streams, I'm going to try a new thing. For anybody that's been on the fence, wants to take my lessons, you can save 25% using the code YT for YouTube 25, and the link is down there, store at guitargate.com. That's it. So I'm going to open this up. I'm going to talk about whatever you want. First thing I want to say is I got to play this weekend with my friend Mark Hopkins. If you're not familiar with his channel, just Mark Hopkins. The algorithm will do the rest. For all you gearheads out there, you'll love him because he does all great gear reviews, and he's a real guitar player, right? He is one of the best around anywhere, and he put together a tremendous band for us to open this award show, to do this dueling guitar thing, and it was I miss it in my life. I encourage all of you, I'm telling myself, get out there, play with other people, play with people better than you. It is the way, and it's why we picked this up in the first place. It's fun. All right, let's see who's here. Mikhail, good to see you. Sean, good to see you. Andrew, how's it going? Fantasy by Eternity Forever. Don't know them. Candy's Room. I don't know Candy's Room. Still waiting on some Satchel from Steel Panther to arrive on the show. Wouldn't that be fun? Man, he has the best sense of humor. Marianne, good to see you. Andrew, Fastbender, let's talk about some Lydian mode. I don't know if I'm ready to talk about Lydian mode right now. But here's what I will say very quickly. That modes are dictated by the chords underneath them, okay? Context is everything. So when you say Lydian, what I think about is the 4 chord, okay? Now, we can make the 4 chord sound like home bass, right? That's that's kind of what you mean to like play in that mode. But I think about like when you say Lydian, okay? I think about, like, let's say I'm in A, right? And I think A Lydian, and I have that F sharp, that major sixth. To me, all that really is, or I guess the starting place, is that's just the third of the 4 chord. That tells me that, okay, it's that, and then it tells me that I have this, right? I have this sharp 4 in there, right? I have this sharp 4. And I would just implore you all to kind of, when you just explore these modes, especially one like Lydian, where it's just kind of odd because you have that sharp 4, is to just give yourself a progression that dictates the mode and not just try to make something in Lydian, right? So like if you have like a 3 to a 4, like right? That right there, that little change, even though I feel like when I play that, I have to, right? 3rd of C sharp minor, 3rd of D major, right? That. Now, of course, right? So if I'm thinking A Lydian, right? That's gonna be this little, right? Oh, I don't want to go down a rabbit hole right now. all I'm going to say is this. Whatever mode you're working on, pick a progression, pick a chord that dictates it, not the other way around. Let's keep going. Oh, Saul, how do you work from playing faster? Do you have some tricks, some exercises? Thanks for your help. Saul, here's an easy one. This is really easy. Let me show you how I start my day, okay? Let me do a little screen share here, and I will show you how I start my day here. Every single day. Look at this. This is going to shock you. Metronome. Shocking. Metronome, okay? Now watch this. Watch this. Wait for it. I'm going to start at like 121. And now here's what I'll do. I'll play it. And I'll do whatever I'm working on. I'll do, let me make this smaller here. I'll do. Right, triplets. And I'll try to be very dynamic. Right. Right? And so the point is that I will go through whatever exercise or scale that I'm doing. For those of you that are Guitar Gate members, I have a whole course on this called the training course. So just go to Guitar Gate, look for the training course. And then once I can play through it a few times comfortably meaning I can be dynamic. I can play loud. I can play soft, right? I can accentuate each one of those notes. Then watch this. Watch. Let me zoom in. Let me show you. Watch this. Ready? Bump it up 2 BPMs. 2. And then for the next 2 or 3 days. And then once I can do that, then I do this. Check it out. Wait for it. 125. And then the same thing. That, my friends, and I know I'm doing a big exaggeration, but that, my friends, is the way to get faster and to get cleaner. It's to systematically, whatever you're working on, always have a training exercise part of your regimen, but get yourself to a sort of effortless place. Bump it up 2 BPM. Stay there for a few days. Bump it up 2 BPM. Stay there for a few days. Bump it up 2 BPM. If you do that in a matter of a couple months, 3 months or whatever, you'll be lights out Yngwie speed if you just are disciplined in that way. That is the way. All right, let's keep going. Robert Driscoll, good to see you, sir. Hope you're doing well. Mikhail, you kiss your wife. Yes. Okay. Play the brown note. No. Josh Gilliam, good to see you, my friend. LTB, I'm a Guitar Gate member. Is this accessible through the website now? Yes. Here, I will just share it for you. Here, and I'll put it right in the comments, just like this. There's the guitar training course. I put it in the, here, bam. And remember, anybody that's not a member, just for this live stream, if you want to save some money, make this year the year that you actually commit to it. Right? I'm trying to recommit. Use the code YT25, YouTube25 when you join. Save money. Here we go. Joseph Kelly. Find myself able to play various scales and modes rather easily. My personal challenging is knowing the individual notes in them. Joseph, the key to all of this, the key to it all, is knowing chord tones, knowing triads, knowing the notes in the chord. So let's say, for example, you're working on mixolydian, right? Say you're working on mixolydian, and it's A mixolydian. We'll keep it in A. So you have A major, which is your 5 chord, G major, which is your 4 chord. So again, I'm choosing a progression that dictates the mode. I'm choosing mixolydian because a lot of you are probably working on that, and it's fairly easy. So if I make a loop that's G major to A major, and I go to take leads, what I want to do is I want to limit myself to string sets. Not shapes, not patterns, string sets, okay? 3 notes per string, 3 strings, 3 fingers, which means there's only 3 places. So for A, you have A here, and A here. That's it. That's it. Those are all of your notes that are in A, because then it just repeats, right? Right? Same thing in G. Same 3 shapes, just 2 frets down. Right? That is it, okay? And so we've eliminated this whole big scale thing and all this crazy nonsense. We've picked chords that dictate the mode, and we've limited ourselves to just the essential triads on 1 string set. And then what you do is you use that structure to play through the song. And you just visualize the notes of the chord. You visualize the triads, just like a piano player would, right? There's just 1 choice for every note. This is what we're trying to do. We're trying to get away from any note could be 6 places. Oh, sorry. You know? 6 strings, 6 places. But on piano, it's just like there's only that 1 E. That's what we're trying to get away from. We're trying to reduce the noise and get down to its essentials. So make yourself a loop. Let me clear this one. So what were we doing? A and G, right? So. Right? Start with A. Right? Here's your G. A. Here's your G. Just connecting chord tones. 3rd of A. 3rd of G. Keep going down. Root of A. Root of G. Keep going, baby. 5th of A. 5th of G. And then it just resets. 3rd of A. That's the way, my friends. That's the way. Chords have notes. Start there, expand from there. All right, here we go. Time for the meat stock. No idea what that means. Let's see. It seems that you do a live version first. Oh, LTB. No. I sent you a link for the training course. I thought that's what you were talking about. This live thing will not make it over on the website. This is just for YouTube. We're live. The website is just my lessons and my courses and the GuitarGate community with the Discord and everything else. You get everything, but no, this is just a YouTube live. Howdy, good to see you from Switzerland. Hey, Michael, what do you normally play on altered chord shapes? Nothing. All right, here's a really good example. I just played this gig on Saturday with Mark, and he hits me with this, right? There's a little there's this one part of the song where there's a break, and it's this F, major sharp 11, okay? So you got this F, let me break this down. F, major triad, right? Fifth, root, major third, and then let the open two strings ring out. So this is a B, right? So that's a flat 5 or sharp 11, right? Because this would be your major fifth, so that, and then this would be your root, becomes a major 7. So you got 5, root, third, sharp 11, or flat 5, major 7. In my brain, okay, he's like, play something over that, to let it kind of, whatever. I don't feel confident playing things that I don't understand, especially in professional environments. So I look at this and I say to myself, what is the function of this? Why did Mark choose this? Why are we sitting on this? And the answer to why it's an F major, is because we're coming from an E and it's a half step up, right? So it creates this little push, but it's the B and the E that are in both of these chords. E, F major sharp 11, right? This is your connection point, that. So I'm not thinking, what kind of altered nonsense can I play over this? I'm thinking to myself, just connect it with this, make this the thing, right? So I just threw an F in the bass and then did a little, grabbed the B and E here, switched on this pickup and did a little, like, I don't have distortion on, but did a little, let those harmonics ring down, leaned into my amplifier and let the overtones kind of shake, right? And then just brought the volume down gradually and pulled my guitar away from it. And it worked because it created that texture and that continuity, because we came from that E, but I didn't have to think about the answer to your question, which is, the hell do I play over this, right? It's more about, where did you come from? What's the purpose of this, right? So we came from this E, we jumped to this F major sharp 11, but the B and the E are still in there. Like, that's the continuity. And all we're doing is we're creating this texture jump, right? To let it kind of linger while the band, there's a break, right? There's no drums, it's a break. So you just go all in on that. But generally speaking, I don't play over a lot of altered stuff because it's not intuitive for me. It's not intuitive. And that's okay. Oh, let's see. Aubrey, how do you make changing key scales mode seem seamless mid-solo? Okay. Yes, East Nashville Guitar Club. Exactly. All right, Aubrey. the answer to all of this, again, is context, is do the chords change? If the answer is yes, okay, then you just spell out the changes of those chords, right? Especially the third. You know, if the chords don't change and you're just looking for different flavor, I mean, be careful. That might not be necessary. You may be just trying to let the theory dictate the sound instead of the other way around. I strongly implore all of you out there to just like let the ear come first and let it think, and then use your brain to think about why something might work or might not work. That is my best advice. So if you're changing keys in a song and the chord actually changes, and you're in a lead, I mean, the best thing to really do is try to make a line. When you're practicing, try to determine where the switch happens and how to sell it best by coming in to a chord tone as close as possible, right? So, this is kind of hard to describe without an example, but let's say I'm in D, right? And I go like a D, like D, right? To C, to G. Right? And then all of a sudden it goes to E, like it just modulates a whole step up. This, by the way, is the song I just played on Saturday did this. So I would be thinking to myself this whole time, I would be thinking, okay, I'm in D. I have an E that goes over my C major chord. That's my major third. And then when it goes down to B, to get that third of G major, that is also in my E chord, okay? So because of that, the path of least resistance, if you will, to connect these two when it finally goes to this E major, to then D, and then A, so that whole progression just moves up a whole step, is just to make a line. If you know it's coming, make a line. Again, limit yourself to strings, not patterns, strings, right? Make something where it's like... right? And then when it changes, okay, keep the continuity there. Don't jump over to like the third, if you will, right? Make the jump as close as possible to a chord tone, and then once you're there, sell the crap out of it, right? But make like set up your jump. Like know that if there's a common note in the chord you're coming from to the chord you're going to, even if you're changing keys. 101, right? Modulation 101 is make the shortest jump to the closest chord tone, especially if it's like a shared common note in the two keys, right? That's where to begin. And then once you're there, commit all the way. Abandon where you just came from. You're on a new island. Embrace the new island. You're here for a long time, maybe. Okay? So, but just get there with a common tone that's close if you can. That is my sincere advice to begin simplifying modulation. Okay. Oh... Would you give priority to getting a better amp or a better guitar? Definitely a better amplifier. If you're an electric player, like myself, who I don't know. I just this is a source of massive disagreement amongst guitar players. I would. I mean, you can stick an incredible guitar on a terrible amplifier, and it just ruins your day. And you can have an absolute garbage guitar plugged into a great amplifier, and you can make it sing. Um, so if you know what you're doing, uh, I feel you always choose the amplifier. If you come from my school, which is the amplifier is the true instrument, that's what's being mic'd up, and the guitar is like the steering wheel, right, for the car, if you will. Um, there are there are probably more players that do not subscribe to that and think that, this really is the instrument, and and the amplifier is just there to make this sound kind of portable. And there's no right or wrong. It's more genre specific. So like if you play a lot of classic, like in other words, like the purest guitar players are acoustic players, right? And so of course the guitar is the instrument, obviously, right? It is. But when you move into the realm of the electric guitar, there comes a chasm, like there comes a precipice, if you will, that you have to either leap over or not. And it's like the first step is you have an acoustic guitar, and then you put a pickup in it, and then you plug it into the PA or the amp. Now the guitar is still very much the instrument. You're just amplifying it a little bit. But once you get into the realm of gain and high gain and heavy sustain, okay? Once you cross over from simply amplifying what this thing naturally makes to what can be made with harnessing the power of electricity. Once you cross over that chasm, then the amp becomes the true instrument, right? That becomes the thing that you're doing. And this is the controller of that thing. And the higher gain you get into, the more apparent that becomes, because the gain and the volume dictate the notes that will sound good. When you have an acoustic instrument, right, you could play any number of notes together, and there's no bleed, okay? There's no competing for signal strength, okay, in the sound. But the more you put it through an amp, the more you drive it, the more the amp wants you to get closer and closer to one sound at a time. It's why power chords became the sound of rock and roll, because that perfect interval of a root and a fifth, or fourth, whatever you want to call it, the perfect intervals don't warble, they don't shake. It's one big tone. But even then, you listen to those Black Sabbath records, man. Tony Iommi's doing a lot of single note riffs, and it's because the louder and heavier you get, the more it dictates your playing. It's why Eddie Van Halen had to tune down his B string, because the third just wouldn't stop beating, and that doesn't happen. It's not noticeable. It doesn't create such like an obvious like, what the hell is that terrible sound? You're way out of tune when you're playing an acoustic, when it's clean, right? But the more you juice it, right, the more you cross over into that I'm an unapologetic electric guitar player, the more it dictates one pure sound at a time, maybe two. Perfect intervals, strongly preferred. And I grew up in that world, and I love that world. And I'm not interested in departing that world. And so because of that, I don't view amplifiers as an extension of this. I view these electric guitars as a controller, a steering wheel of the Ferrari, which is the amplifier. So I will always choose a shitty guitar with a great amplifier because I will know how to make it sing. You can't make an incredible guitar sing out of just a garbage amplifier. You're playing electric guitar. Embrace it. Okay. So, Hawk, I'm glad that you dig it. A lot of people don't dig my feeling on that. But you know, you're either an electric, like, you know, you either play because you want the hair to stand up on the back of your neck or you don't. I don't know how to word this, but I feel like I've gotten to the point where I can noodle easily. But because I'm self-taught, I feel like I've hit a wall for what I should learn to be able to create links and melodies. Charlie Smith, you've heard me say this a million times, hopefully, but maybe you haven't, but it's worth repeating. The answer to your question, the answer to all of your questions in lead playing and melody making, getting out of boxes, getting out of ruts, the answer to all of your questions is to get out of being a guitar player and be a musician. And you know what that means? It means learning the melody to every song that you learn. The actual vocal melody. Every other instrument, especially single note instruments like horns or whatever, but piano, it doesn't matter. We begin the process of learning our instrument by learning simple melodies. We learn childhood nursery rhyme melodies, and then we grow into chords. On guitar, because of the nature of the shape-based instrument, we tend to start learning chords, and then we just jump straight into taking leads, and we just skip the entire melodic process. It is a syndrome of guitar players, one that I still suffer from, and I'm trying to remedy myself of, right? But I can tell you, the answer to your questions, what do I play over this? How do I blank? I feel stuck in this. Learn actual melodies. And then when you go to take a lead, wait for it. Play the melody. And then make little deviations. Explore beyond them, but then come back to the melody and make the mental connections of this note sounds good over these chords because blah, 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 right? Put the words to it. That, honest to God, is the way. Let's keep going. I don't even know what melody means. It means sing it, dude. It means sing it, right? So like in my favorite example to show people this is always this. Right? That Midnight Rider, that's your chord, right? The melody is. That's your melody. And the reason why I choose this, because everybody's always like, what do I do when it goes to G minor 7 to C, right? Say, what's the melody do, right? It goes, it's major, right? But over the G minor, that's F natural. Switches to D minor. Why? Because that's the flat 7 of G minor 7, and then it just comes down to the 9, which is the major third of C, which resolves back to the root. So simple, so basic. There's a lifetime of wisdom in that little spot. Who keeps dinging me here? I'm getting done. Oh, it's Lyle Brewer. Lyle, I will get back to you in a second if you happen to be watching. Okay. Are tunings cheating? No. Just be aware of what you're playing. Good, Charlie. Great. Eric, love the channel. Can you talk about how to use the cage system to do things like a 1-6-4-5 progression? I get the concept of it, but I struggle with changing chords fast and soloing around it. Yeah, Eric, check it out. So 1-6-4-5. So let's say we do that in A. You got A major, 6, F sharp minor, right? And then 4, D is E major. So you probably are familiar with doing that, right? Right? So you can just move around your caged chord shapes. So that's step 1. Step 2 is try to find your closest moves. So for each one, you have 5 patterns, right? Pattern 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, C, A, G, E, D, right? They go in order. So like if you start here for A, where's your closest F sharp minor? Well, you can jump down to here, or you can get it like this. And then D is here, and then your closest E is here. Now, why that's important is because what we're trying to do, the reason we start teaching people with cage shapes is to get people from this big spot on the neck to this little spot, okay? And just to visualize where the notes in the chord are. And then eventually, you grow out of these and you just get smaller and smaller into triads, which is where we talked earlier, where you just see this. But start with this full shape. And then just apply the pentatonic for each one. But don't go up and down the whole thing. Just try to connect a couple different parts, right? So. Right? All I'm thinking about is these little chord tones. So A like this, down to my root, to my 6, back up, 5th of my D, down a half step, 3rd of E. So limit yourself. That's always the key. Limit yourself and visualize the notes in the chords. I know that's a very quick breeze through, but it's good. Okay. The opposite, Sam Spade. I can come up with cool melodies, but I can't put the chords on them to make an actual song. All right, Sam, this would be really helpful with an example, but let's just say for sake that you came up with something like, you know, right? You just think like this, okay? I want everybody out there to pay attention to this, okay? Because this is really basic, but I wish someone had just told me this when I was younger because it's so simple. You are probably hanging on a chord tone. If your ear thinks you should stop somewhere, it is probably because it is a note in the chord you are implying. That's step 1. So step 2 is if that is true, okay? If that is true, then this becomes real simple, okay? Real simple. Your chord is probably, your note is probably a root, a third, or fifth in the chord. So stay with me. You have a melody. You stopped on something. You think like no. You stopped there. Like, what chord is that implying? Well, what is that note? That, my friends, is a D. That is a D. So D is either the 1, the 3, or the 5. And just try all 3. Is it the 1 that you're hearing? Does that sound right? Does that sound like what you're looking for? Maybe it's the 3rd, right? So if it's the 3rd, it's a B chord. Everybody out there, remember this. Print this in your brain. Print this in your brain. ACE is an A chord. Doesn't matter, major, minor, whatever, you make alterations. Doesn't matter, it's A sharp, A flat. It's always ACE, BDF, CEG, DFA, EGB, FAC, GBD. You say that again. You're just skipping them in the alphabet. ACE, you skipped B and D, right? ACE, 1, 3, 5. BDF, CEG, DFA, EGB, FAC, GBD. You with me? You with me? So, if D is not the 1, maybe it's the 3rd. Maybe you're hearing it as the 3rd of B minor. Maybe it's the major 3rd, right? Of B flat major. Now, what maybe neither of those. Maybe it's the 5th. What is B the 5th of? What is D the 5th of? D is the 5th of G. Remember? GBD. So maybe this note you're landing on is from the G major. Ooh, that sounds right. That sounds right. Oh, I like that. That's the chord I'm looking for. That melody, that note is the 5th of G major. It's the 5th of G. And that's how you do it. That's how you go the other way around. So just imprint that in your brain forever, everyone. When you come up with something cool and you land on it, it's probably a chord tone you're implying. And if it's a chord tone, right, what makes up a basic chord? 1, 3, 5. So it's either the 1, the 3, or the 5. And just remember these clusters forever. ACE, BDF, CEG, DFA, EGB, FAC, GBD. That's it. Oh, shoot. All right, my friends, I'm going to call it a day. I got to take this one. I love you all so much. Just remember, if you've been on the fence and you'd like to join GuitarGate, I would love to have you. I'd love to be your teacher. Make this the year you take the jump. Save an extra 25%. Use the code YT25, YouTube25. The link is in the comments, store.guitargate.com. I love you all, and I hope at the very least this inspires you to keep this guitar in your hands. I'll see you over GuitarGate and back here on YouTube. Cheers.